Hello everyone, it's OxxyOG, and today I'm bringing you a single target raid focused with Cleave and multi-target Mythic Plus guide on Fury Warrior. I wanted to show you my gear here so that there is no confusion as to what I have, what item level I am, and what my stats are. I don't have any buffs on currently except for Battle Shout. And I also wanted to show you my current progression. I am 5 out of 8 Mythic. These are my current parses, and I will show you my heroic parses as well. I also have a long-running spree of parses that I love to do each tier. It's something that I just enjoy pushing my limits for many tiers. I've played Fury for years, so that is my resume for you. And this isn't to brag or gloat, but mainly just to show you what I can bring to the table as a Fury Warrior. So hope you all enjoy. Okay, and here are my talents for the single target with Cleave build. This is what you're going to be using for the majority of the fights in raid. So this will be considered our single target rotation with like Cleave. The only boss that you're going to use Slayer on that you will be changing this up for is Sprocketmonger, and that would just be a couple of node points that are moved. So. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the macro that I use. There's only one macro for Slayer that I use, so I just wanted to make sure that it is made aware. I do use a macro to cast Recklessness, and then Avatar, and then Blood Fury. It's very important to do it in that combination because of how it generates rage for you, especially on an opener. So let's get right into the rotation. There are two WeakAuras that I highly recommend that you use. One is this Bloodthirst crit tracker. It will basically make a cha-ching sound and glow when your Bloodthirst is above an 85% crit chance, and this will move it up in the priority list. Highly recommend getting this so you don't have to even worry about tracking it. And then number two is going to be a simple warrior overlay that shows your cooldowns and all of your abilities. It's what I've always used. It's from Luxthos. I will link both of these in the description in case you're interested. Okay, let's talk about the raid rotation. I'm going to mainly focus on single target, although there is Cleave in the raid, of course, sometimes. That's just going to mean that you're going to need to weave in your whirlwinds to get whirlwind stacks. But outside of that, I want to talk about two different types of openers. So we mentioned the macro that has Recklessness, Avatar, and then my Blood Fury, which is my passive. You could also add in like an on-use trinket. I do not put best in slots on that because I use it on my own. Because if you use it out of combat, then it tries to change it to intellect. It's just annoying, so I use it on my own. That being said, our opener is going to look like this. We're going to have the macro use to use Recklessness and then Avatar. Then we'll charge in, use the Battle Pot mid-charge. I'm going to skip the Battle Pot because it's just test dummies. And then when we get in, we want to Rampage and use Blade Storm, Rampage again, and then Dragon Roar. And I'll show you how this looks in practice. Something I want to mention is different boss types. There's two different types. There's bosses that when you start the pool, you don't enter combat immediately. Then there's bosses that you enter combat immediately. The ones that don't is the ones I want to talk about right now. That would be like Rick Reverb and Sprocketmonger. So with them, you need to enter combat before you charge in, or else you won't build up enough rage to use a rampage. You'll have to use some other kind of global. So I'm gonna do that rotation since the way to do the other type is just take out the very first step. So first thing we're going to do is if there was I'm just going to go ahead and do the rotation here. So if there was like a pool 7, we're going to cast a heroic throw to enter combat, and then we'll charge in.
2, 1.
Alright, so I pop my best in slots, got my Blade Storm off, I'll throw this, and we're just going to keep rampaging. Start stacking up our Ashen. We're waiting for the cha-ching here. There it is. So we send our Bloodthirst. And we do a little wiggle because that gives you more damage. It's a fact. And there, see, there I should have thrown my Bloodthirst, but it went off as I was already inputting my global for Raging Blow. But Blade Storm comes back up and we're going to send it. And that is pretty much the single target rotation. Weave in some whirlwind stacks and you're golden. Pop everything on cooldown. You are good to go. Try to keep your Ashen stacks up. And make sure you pop Bloodthirst on the Cha-Chings. I will say, as far as Blade Storm usage, if your Recklessness or Avatar will be up in less than like 7 seconds, I would maybe 8, I would consider holding your Blade Storm until you can pop your cooldown. Aside from that, just send Blade Storm on cooldown. Okay, so there's the single target raid rotation. Before we change over to talking about Mountain Thane for Mythic Plus, I just wanted to touch on my notes here. So I left myself notes so that I knew what I wanted to talk about. Here's a list of the spell priority. I'm just going to talk through it, but if you want to screenshot it or study it, you can. We went over the opener. The spell priority, we want to make sure that we're rampaging as much as possible. It reduces the cooldown of our cooldowns and also enrages you, which is like the most important thing because of how much our mastery gives us in percentage damage increase. Your sudden death at execute comes in second if you have 5 stacks of Ashen Juggernaut. I also like to prioritize it, especially in like hard single target, if I have stacks about to fall off or if I'm at 3 or more stacks. If I'm at 1 stack and I get a Cha-Ching like Bloodthirst, I'll throw the Bloodthirst instead and work on stacking back up the Ashen like in the meantime. But as you get better, you'll be able to just hold your Ashen throughout an entire fight unless you get unlucky. Third is going to be the Bloodthirst with the WeakAuras Cha-Ching. That's going to say that you're having an 85% or higher chance to crit with your Bloodthirst, and that will make it more valuable than Raging Blow. And then, of course, Raging Blow is like your main filler, and then just a regular Bloodthirst afterwards is going to be the rest. Cooldowns. I just send cooldowns every single time I get them. The reason I put on CD for all bosses except Rick, Styx, and Vexy is because on Rick, you want to hold for barrels sometimes. I have some VODs of Rick pulls on all difficulties except normal. You can check them out. You can also check out other videos. You can hold for barrels, or sometimes if you get good procs, you can weave in a couple of extra Blade Storms before barrels, but you don't want to risk it. Styx, you use Mountain Thane. So to quickly explain that, in Mountain Thane, you want to hold cooldowns until you get a trash ball. After you get the trash ball, you can just start sending them on cooldown. And then Vexy, most groups like to throw Lust at the 2-minute mark. Like they want to go into the damage phase on the 2-minute mark. So you typically want to hold your cooldowns for that 2-minute mark. Your avatar will come up at 1:30, but it's nice to save it for the big damage amp phase. So I would recommend doing that. But I wouldn't save your Blade Storm if you are sitting on a Blade Storm for more than like 20 seconds waiting for them to pop it. Just use it because especially once Lust gets popped, you can farm back your Blade Storm very quick. So there are my notes. Study them, take them in. Any questions, concerns, let me know. Okay, next we're going to talk about the Mountain Thane build and rotation. So for Mountain Thane, it's typically going to be Mythic Plus, but you'll also see it on Styx and Mythic One-Arm Bandit. So here's the build. It's pretty standard. And then I do also want to show you the macros that I use for Mountain Thane. So we're going to use the Recklessness and Avatar one here. So Recklessness and then Avatar, and then my passive, you could also add in like a House of Cards or something like that. And then I also have this, so it's /cast, and then in brackets at your name, and then Ravager. I have it to cast at my feet, basically. I do it so I don't have to try to do a placement for my Ravager. There's many times where I play like this, and I'll go to... Wow, that doesn't help. I forgot I had the macro. I'll go to place the Ravager in a certain spot, and it'll be like up on the ceiling or something, and I lose damage, and it's just silly. So I just cast it at my feet because honestly, there's never a time that I want it anywhere but my feet. So feel free to grab that macro. All right, let's talk about the Mountain Thane build. So similar to how I did for the Slayer build, I am going to talk out what I'm going to do for the rotation, and then I'll do it, and then I'll show you my notes. So previously I had mentioned that you can do a heroic throw to enter combat with something before you charge in and use your macro. Same thing's going to apply for Mythic Plus. Going from pack to pack, instead of a heroic throw, mid-charge, we're going to weave in a whirlwind. So, you know, it's pretty logical to think like, oh, we're not ever going to use whirlwind on Mountain Thane, but I do actually enjoy using it for this one reason. So the reason why is because when you pop Recklessness and then Avatar with your macro, it's going to give you 2 charges of Thunder Blast. You don't want to go into the pack. You're not going to be cleaving at this time. You don't want to go into the pack and Thunder Blast to start cleaving because you're not enraged yet. You haven't used a Rampage. So to get enraged, what we're going to do is that charge is going to give you a Rampage, but you're not cleaving. So you're not going to be able to cleave anything with that Rampage. And so all of these things add up to damage loss if you don't do what I'm about to teach you. So basically, I'm going to cast my macro. I would normally use a battle pot if I have it up. This is for Mythic Plus. I spam battle pots like crazy. So I'm going to use my macro, charge in, and as I'm charging, I'm going to use my Whirlwind. I'm going to use it as I'm charging so that it doesn't really take up a global. And then as I hit the pack, I should get enraged. Then I can, I'm going to use my best in slots, and then I can use a Rampage, and then my Ravager, and Dragon Roar, and all that good stuff. So, that's it. Alright, let's get right into the rotation. We got a pool 10 here. You'll see me Whirlwind as I charge in. I'm just going to do my normal rotation with the battle pot because muscle memory, but here we go.
2, 1.
Alright, boom, Ravager down, Thunder Blast. Use my Dragon Roar here too. And now we're moving and grooving. Thunder Blast gets thrown pretty much every chance that you get. Now that the ads are low, I'm going to be prioritizing using my Bloodthirst, even if I don't get a Cha-Ching. And I'm just never going to touch the execute button, ever. You can see my damage is pretty good. I mean, for these target dummies, I don't even have any buffs on, except for just Battle Pot. So we're sending this, and then we're going to have this. Boom. Make sure we're always cleaving, and now Ravager's back up, so we'll throw it. Everything on cooldown, always. And we're feeling pretty darn good. So hopefully this gives you a good insight into the rotation. Okay, as promised, we will discuss my notes. So we went over the opener and how important it is, primarily weaving in that Whirlwind. I don't know how many people know to do this, but it's something I realized because I was tired of throwing Thunder Blasts unenraged, because with something like 60% mastery, that is a lot of damage lost on such a big ability. For spell priority, so Rampage is first. You have to stay, I forgot a parenthesis. You have to stay enraged. That would have driven me crazy. You hard prioritize Rampage unless you are already enraged and there are more than 5 enemies. So this would then prompt you to prioritize Thunder Blast. So you want to make sure you're using Rampage as much as possible because it reduces the cooldown of your Ravager and your Recklessness, and those are just what make you pump. But Thunder Blast over 5 targets is going to do way more damage than Rampage can. And so if you're already enraged, just weave your Thunder Blast in. Then second in the priority list, of course, is Thunder Blast. It's great damage even on 5 or less targets. Third in the priority list will be the Bloodthirst on the Cha-Ching from the WeakAuras. This will say that you have 85% or higher crit chance. Or if there's more than 5 targets, so if you're in Cinderbrew Meadery and there's a 13 target pack, you want to use Bloodthirst because as long as you're enraged, you want to use and this is why Rampage is so high in the prio. You want to use Bloodthirst so that it has the chance to proc a Thunder Blast. So whenever you use Bloodthirst, I believe you have a 20% chance to proc a Thunder Blast, which, again, remember, in those big packs, Thunder Blast is #1 priority, so the more chances you have to proc that, the better. So pop your Bloodthirst there. And then also, if the ads are below 35% and you don't have a Thunder Blast up, remember, the priority list still goes in order, but Bloodthirst would become prio again if below 35% health because of Vicious Contempt, which does 50% increased Bloodthirst damage when enemies are below 35% health. Raging Blow is going to be for your regular filler, and it's for 1 to 5 target ad cleave. And then Thunderclap, which I almost never use, but because of how well the filler does itself with Thunder Blast proccing. But if you happen to need to start cleaving again and you don't have a Thunder Blast up, just throw a Thunderclap out. And then Execute, we just don't really use it. I would actually swap Thunderclap and Execute if it was single target only, of course. So thunderclap is very, very situational. So I just want to make sure that's clear. You don't want to be thunderclapping in single target. Use an execute instead of a thunderclap on like a boss or whatever. And then so for cooldowns, I just wanted to mention that you should just read the room. So Recklessness and Ravager, I said Ravatar. Recklessness and Avatars are pretty much always line up with each other. They're kind of on the same reduction. You may just have a couple seconds. Just always remember to use them together. Avatar can also be sent on CD. The only time that I would recommend holding is if like a boss is about to die, or if an ad pack isn't a scary one. Like now, if you're running 16 Dark Flame Cleft and you're on the first pack, and you send all your cooldowns, and it's that big pool with the Overseer and all the casters, you're probably going to get your Recklessness back and everything will be at like 40%. I would send Recklessness again because you can usually farm it back, especially because you don't want that pack to live forever because you run out of kicks. But if it's an easy pack and maybe there's only like 2 or 3 ads left and they're all below 40%, just let it burn out and wait till the next pack so you have a set of cooldowns going into it. Also, even if ads are at like 50%, your cooldown, like Avatar, comes up, I would consider holding Avatar. Like if the boss is the next pool, just hold it through that pack if it's not a dangerous pack. But it's all situational. You just have to try to get as much usage out of your cooldowns as you can. All right. And then lastly, I just want to add a conclusion. Pump. Just get out there and pump. The end. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to comment and leave some feedback, or hey, give me some tips, because I am fully in the belief that there's always something that could be learned from this game. It's just so in depth, so I love it. I hope you all are enjoying Fury Warrior. We're starting to feel a little stronger. I'm having fun in dungeons, and raid feels great. So thank you for watching. Really appreciate it, and I hope to see you all around again soon. I'm out. Peace.